the order. Ready? Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Start over here with you, Jim.
Jim Nickel present.
Kieran Farrell, present.
Dawn Thomas present.
Heidi Youngworth, present.
Dan Allers, present.
Public comment. We're gonna move along today, kids.
Well said.
Yep. No public comment. Approval of the minutes from May 24th.
We don't have any minutes here.
We don't have any here, so can we approve them? Did anybody read them?
I did read them.
I mean, I read them.
I read them.
I read them here. I got a copy here.
Well,
Somebody
make a
wants to
motion.
take.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's approved. Staff report and updates.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lieutenant Matt Chitwood, Lee County Sheriff's Office. Don't really have anything urgent or notable to report for the last few months. All of our major events have gone off pretty much without a hitch. We do have planning occurring for Labor Day weekend, so we'll have augmented patrol, extra patrols down here for that weekend and Labor Day itself, as we usually do during those kind of beachy holidays. And that's really about it. I don't know if you have any questions, I can do my best to answer them.
The officer in trouble call that happened. Can you give us any insight into the nature of that situation? Because it did cause quite a stir on the island.
So I think there's been information out there, but the basis we got called for a disturbance on the south end of the island. When the deputies, there was 2 deputies, they got there, they encountered a situation where someone needed to be detained. That person resisted, and they needed help. So they called for help, and we had deputies from the north side come and deputies from the south side come. It was an extended situation where after several minutes, the deputies were still asking for urgent help. So that initially there was a couple of units coming, but then there was a couple minutes go by and there's another call for urgent help. It made more people come. So
Yeah,
that's
it
that's
There were
what.
a lot.
And in the end, nobody was, everybody was fine. No deputies were hurt. There was a what we call a response to resistance report. I think the person was tasered, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, but no serious injuries on anybody's part. And
Good.
but that's what caused all the vehicles to come down, come up. So they came from the Bonita
Came from
side.
the Bonita
and they
side.
came
That's
from-
where I was at. I was
Yeah,
on the Bonita side.
Several came from the Bonita side.
I was heading
so-
down Lover's Key when they started coming.
Several came from the Fort Myers side, so.
I didn't know that, so it must have been an absolute ruckus.
Well, I think it's a testament, a lot of times people think, well, I never see any of the deputies around, especially this time of year, how fast they can get here and how close they really are.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are fast and close.
Yeah, so I know,
I'm glad everybody was okay.
everybody's okay, and it was really, they needed an extra set of hands to get the person from one place to another, and rather than attempt to do it with what they had, they just held what they had and waited until they had help, so.
And they're done that.
Nice. How have the weekends been? Have they been crazy or pretty quiet? Just all over? Because, it seems pretty quiet during the week, obviously.
Yeah, it's, again, nothing major. Has been no increased requests for patrols or from the deputies that are working down here, from the supervisors that are managing it. It seems to be status quo. So.
I just got a message from Ron Bennett that he was supposed to be via Zoom but never got the link, so.
Oh, okay.
He was planning on attending, but
Okay.
he did not receive the
Oh.
link from staff, so
Okay.
we'll get that corrected.
All right.
So we'll give him an excused absence.
Yes. He
Um,
made an attempt.
okay. Anybody have any other questions? I think the other stuff we're probably going to ask later.
You guys finish?
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
I don't have any other staff reports, so probably when we go around, maybe the mayor update us on some of the stuff
Sure.
that's going around. So let's talk about the public safety campaign Well, actually, let's go to hurricane response plan. Jim's not here, and he would be giving us our update on that.
Right.
So we might table that one until next time.
Yep.
Very quiet meeting.
Yeah, I can,
If you want to give an
any
update.
questions at the end, do it all at once.
Sure, that's what I was thinking, we'd go through everything. Crosswalk messaging. We probably would get it from Tom. Tom would tell us what's going on that.
Mhm.
We're really not gonna have a lot going on. FDOT roundabout meeting, how's that going, Dan?
Do you want to cover it now, or do you want me to cover it kind of all at the end under an encompassing?
We'll
I can do
cover
it
it.
now.
Let's go, you know what, we're coming to member items anyway, and we don't have an update on the survey because that's also Jim.
Okay.
So let's just start with member updates, but you're the main person to update us on what's going on, and we can ask some questions.
Sure. Do you want me to go first or last?
Yes, why don't you go first,
Okay.
because you might answer a lot of the questions.
Yeah, so FDOT, we had a meeting with them a week ago, last Friday, so just over a week, it was Andy and I, and the project manager of the job, and then the two people that fall under him, as well as the PIO from FDOT and a member of FDOT were there. We expressed their concerns with the traffic flow, the way it's set up. Our initial concern was we did not know, Lee County did not know, and obviously Margaritaville, none of us were aware that it was going to be for the entire length of the project, that this traffic pattern was going to be put that way. So it was, obviously we were taken a little off guard when it happened the way it did. So we expressed that. We expressed the concern with when we do have high tides and flooding down in that area, how it could potentially cause problems with cars being stalled like we saw with Debbie.
Right.
We expressed, we didn't want to speak for the fire district, but we certainly wanted to let them know that this could be a potential issue, especially in the height of season, if both traffic is stopped on both ways and construction does not allow for fire trucks to get through with traffic coming on to be able to get off the island.
Right.
That would be a major issue. So we told them we would work with them. With the biggest concern that they had was obviously parking for their employees and construction vehicles and stuff, and that's why that area needed to be the way it is. Currently, if you haven't noticed, they're tearing up all the concrete in the center medians and all that, kind of getting it prepped. So the town offered some of its parking, whether it's under the bridge or right behind that Surf Style shop, to park their trucks. They were very receptive and understood our concerns. We're not aware of some of those issues. So after the meeting, they went out to the area and looked it over. They have invited us to be on their weekly call every Thursday, their project update every Thursday. We were not on the first one, which was last Thursday. We were over at the Florida League of Cities annual event, so we weren't able to be on that, but we did get the minutes and the update of what was on it. So going forward, someone from the staff will be on that call every Thursday. As soon as we know that there's going to be a change, we'll certainly let everybody else know. But at this point, we're just kind of in a holding pattern, but we'll continue to work with them. And obviously, Commissioner Sandelli and I have spoken many times about it.
Yeah.
They're from their side, they're looking at it as well to see if there's something they can do to help, because the majority of that is their property. So that's about the only update I have on that. So it's being addressed as best we can. It's not ideal right now, as we all know.
Right.
The concern is it's the middle of August, and if you're waiting 30 minutes now to get off the island, what's it going to be like come January, February, March? So.
Do they have ideas? They just haven't, or they're...
No, I don't think they had originally looked at it because they didn't see it was going to be an issue. I think once we raised the concerns with them, that maybe
Yeah.
a light bulb kind of went off, like,
Yeah.
oh, this makes sense. The bridge is the bridge. There's not a whole lot of space there
Sure.
to be able to do things. But as I told them, coming from Minnesota and Wisconsin, we know that there's 5 seasons and the 5th one is road construction. And
Exactly.
they always seem to be able to allow traffic to flow. So I gotta believe that there's a way that they can, with that much space, alternate, a little bit at least to be able to. And their concern was obviously time to be able to. So they gotta look at, from their standpoint, they've gotta look at, man hours. Is it gonna take 3 hours for them every morning to set up and then take down at the end of the day to be able to allow through? So they're gonna look at all of that. So it's gonna take a little bit. It's not gonna be something that happens this week or next week, but I think hopefully they'll be able to come up with a solution that works for everybody to allow those 2 lanes to continue to flow.
So currently they have them going one way on Crescent, is that, and then exiting,
Yeah, you gotta, if
That's the
you're
only
leaving
way
the
to
island,
leave.
yep, you can only take a right on Crescent, and you
Right.
gotta turn left on 5th to go off.
okay,
As we know, cars can stack up there at the height
Exactly.
of checking into Margaritaville. I know people have thrown out the suggestion, we'll make it a 1 lane or 1 way on Crescent so that Margaritaville could check in on the left lane, traffic could go on the right
Yeah.
lane, which works until it doesn't, when a fire truck can't get through,
Right.
or first responders can't get through, where do they go? I mean, with the hedges, it's not like you could just pull up on the curb and, part the Cs, so
Right.
I don't know that that's a viable solution. Maybe this time of year it is.
Yeah.
But, trucks are coming on the south end of the island now. There's another point that we pointed out is,
That lightning was right there.
it was close.
I saw it, I went, oh my gosh.
I thought it was somebody's phone.
I did too at first, I thought someone's flashing a flashlight in here.
Yeah, it was a flash and a bang.
Wow.
That was close.
Okay,
So,
I don't like-
not all the construction trucks come on the north end of the island, they come from the south end, and if they have to go to North Estero for whatever reason, now they're taking semi-trucks through the downtown area, up Old San Carlos to try to make, and it's very tight in there when you have cars on both sides, so we're hoping, so their PIO is gonna work with our PIO so that we have a unified message that comes out when it comes out, to give updates as soon as we get them. But that's about the only update I have for now, is that we did have the meeting. They are well aware, and we'll continue to work with them to open that lane up.
Has the fire department been involved in any of your discussions?
Not yet. No, this was just the initial discussion. Again, I didn't want to speak on behalf of the fire district, but I felt very confident thinking that you guys would have a concern.
We have a concern.
with that.
Because our district extends over the bridge.
Mhm.
So you could have equipment moving from the island, off the island, towards an incident that's occurring.
Yes.
Apologies.
That's okay. So I don't know if the fire district wants to reach out to them as well, and we
I
can
think they
provide.
want to be involved in whatever discussions, well, okay, I'll mention it to the chief.
And maybe someone could be on the call, the weekly call with them, someone from the fire district staff could be on the call with them to
Yeah,
help alleviate, because you guys know what you need and how you need it.
yeah, when I saw the way that was set up, I thought, well, this is going to work just fine this summer. I don't know where we go from there.
Well, what you're seeing now is, there's a lot of construction traffic on the island.
Yeah.
And on nice sunny days when people are leaving, we all know 3 to 5 o'clock the storms are coming. And when people are rushing off the beach to get off the island and you have the construction back up, that's the time we're really seeing it backed up quite a ways. And I've seen it backed up past the old Junkanoo already. So that's quite a ways for the middle of August,
right.
which I have to believe has some impact on your response times.
Yeah, well,
It could.
it will up there at Margaritaville, because
Yeah.
if we have to go north off the island
Mhm.
to respond, we're gonna have to get over that bridge, and there's not a lot of space for cars to get out of the way so that equipment can get by.
Mhm.
So if you got people stacked up trying to get into Margaritaville, there's gonna be issues there.
Yeah, I don't see a solution where you can make that a one-way down Crescent and make it work for the fire district or
There's no room to come in the back way?
no, it's not gonna be convenient when it has to be down to one lane, but we don't believe it needs to be one lane for the entire 18-month project.
Right.
So we'll see what they come up
What,
with.
what about getting that stop sign?
Glad you survived.
The one at Fifth?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Is that, I mean, I just,
How close
in my
were
head
you?
that, I'm like, nobody
You out
would
there?
stop, the traffic would continue to flow.
the issue is then you would have to do it on the other side probably as well. I mean, I'm no traffic expert, but nobody's stopping at the stop sign now, unless a sheriff's deputy is sitting there.
True.
I'm assuming we're talking Crescent, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So I had a conversation with Captain Waller last
Mhm.
week about us sitting down and having a meeting about getting in touch with FDOT, asking for some MOT people to be there, flaggers, because people are also stopping at the red light and not making a right turn. Because, within caution, they're saying, okay, I can't turn on right or red, even though there's no sign.
Sure.
So as traffic builds, the thought process was we build a plan where we can at least have somebody at Crescent and Estero and somebody at Crescent and Fifth during the heaviest time frames and be like, come on, move. So that's just thought process. I don't know how far we can go with that, but it was something that we started talking about last week.
Well, I'm guessing you or someone on your staff will probably be
We will be-
on that weekly call
Yes.
with FDOT every Thursday.
It would be Frankie more than likely, but if not, then I will be there as well, trying to get that squared away.
And figure out whatever the best solution is. Ideally, opening it up to allow the traffic to flow would be ideal, but
Ron's on the phone.
Oh, you got him on the phone?
Hi, Ron.
Hello. I'll probably be a little bit behind you. I'm watching on YouTube, though, so I'll be a little bit behind here.
The other update is staff has taken photos of all the concrete sidewalk areas that need replaced with GPS location. On the photos, those have been sent to the county for repair. They're in the process of finding a vendor to do that work. So our part of that
Is done.
is done.
Awesome.
They have all the stuff that they need to be able to do that. Can't say as to how fast it's gonna happen, but it's in their hands now. The light at Fifth, we're still waiting word on when they're gonna be able to, or it's called Fifth, but people think it's north of Estero Boulevard and Old San Carlos.
Right.
We're still waiting from the county to find out when they can fix that. Haven't gotten an update, but we'll check with them again this week to see if there's something that we can get done, whether you or Frankie, or I'll make sure someone looks into it. Other than that, I don't know if you have specific questions about something else.
Well, maybe we go back to, kind of jump around a little bit. I want to bring up electric bike update, because I know that we were talking about no electric bikes, and then Sanibel passed it that they can ride on the sidewalk. And I know people have been throwing up solutions and ideas, and I don't know if the town has, if we have 100% we're done and there's no electric bikes on the beach, and then the information officer is pushing it out, or if we're still open for some suggestions.
No, the ordinance is going to be, a draft ordinance will come before council soon. We asked about it yesterday at the meeting, that the lawyers are working on bringing forward. So no, it hasn't come before us to discuss it, but the discussion will be to allow bikes on the sidewalk and or beach. I think is just the global
Right.
kind of changes that are being looked at.
Okay.
But we have not got that draft ordinance back yet from our lawyers to be able to vote on it. So there has not been a final decision made on it. It probably won't happen in September because of the budget hearings. Looking hopefully for October, but it is on our agenda management schedule to get done.
So someone had an idea that they shot by me. This is totally off subject, but or not off subject, but you know how when you walk to the beach in the walkways on the access, they have those mats that are pretty sturdy. Why couldn't we put a mat like that from Red Coconut north on the beach toward as far up, you know, close to houses or whatever, wherever we feel is the best part, after turtle season, so you don't have the turtle, you know, issues. You roll it out, and you could allow electric bikes. You could have anything with electric on that walkway, and the key would just be as to where it stops. Like maybe it stops where Hooters used to be. That area where they can come out and get onto Estero Boulevard at that point, and they bypass all the traffic, and it keeps it.
That was discussed at our management and planning meeting about doing specifically that.
Yeah.
Staff is looking at that. When we were over at the Florida League of Cities last week, we were talking with a vendor that does specifically that and some
Awesome.
other things. It's definitely a viable solution. It's just a matter of funding, timing.
Sure.
You know, the beach renourishment's going on, so
Right.
working around that.
Right.
I don't know that anything will probably happen. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't know that anything would probably happen until beach renourishment has passed that location.
Right.
But it is a viable solution, and it's a, you know, obviously landowners are involved, and you got to figure that out.
Right.
But we're really looking at any way to get people out of cars and into bikes
Exactly.
and sidewalks and or off the streets, and that is a very easy low-hanging fruit one that could be done.
Yeah.
We're also looking at, it's a little premature, but again, since we're talking about Moby mats, and like people like to say Moby mats, but that's just a brand name, right? There's
Okay.
there are so many other things that
Sure.
are out there. We're also looking at how can we make a couple of beach accesses more ADA friendly. I've heard from some people that they love to come to the beach, but where the mat ends, so does their adventure to the beach. So we're looking at potentially a couple of locations on the island where we could have these rollout mats that could be rolled out in the morning, so people would know if they have ADA issues, they can get to the water, and then maybe provide them with a floating. There's several devices out there that this is through TDC funding, that we could provide them with. You know, getting to the water is nice, but some people still like to get in the water, and there's some really neat devices out there that people can transition into that have the big balloon tires on it and also float. So if they want to go into the water and they have people with them, they can actually go and enjoy the water like the rest of us. So we're looking at that as maybe trying to a pilot program. It's literally just started talking about it, so it's nothing that has gone before anybody for discussion yet. But just things like that are going to provide more flexibility for people that want to come to the island
Sure.
and enjoy the island. You know, obvious locations, Palm Avenue where there's a restroom, maybe Newton Park where there's going to be people are going to be able to get out of their cars and things like that. But it would be something that would be rolled out in the morning and then rolled back up, so it's not interfering with turtle season. And
Sure.
these things are very light now, very durable. But again, it's just in the initial discussion. Obviously, we have to talk with Yazo and his team to see how that works, and Public Works, and
Okay.
obviously probably come before the Public Safety Committee to see how that works, and maybe Murph. But
Okay.
just to give you an update on them, but it has been discussed.
I love
to do
it.
something.
Sorry.
If I can say
So
something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, right.
I think that's a great idea from Red Coconut up with the Moby Mat type of a deal. One thing that I had in my mind too was that I know of a pedestrian bridge so that people aren't crossing the street then to get to it. That as they develop the Red Coconut area, the plan was to have a pedestrian bridge anyway. You make it so that it's wide enough so that people can walk their bicycles across. And then what it does is it kind of like a circular deal that you come off, you circle around up to the top, cross the Staro, and then circle back down so that you can get out to the beach.
Yeah, my understanding is with that plan that walkover is going to be private for the people that would be buying the condos if that project is approved. It is not a public accessible walkover.
Right.
Right, so that would be my only key then is if we're talking public safety, now we have people riding their bikes up to that point, and now everybody's gonna be crossing to head over to the beach.
Sure.
So I guess, for the public good, if that would be part of the public good, that they make that a little bit bigger so that it wasn't just private.
Yeah, I know that there's if I remember correctly, they have a beach access there, which would be on the north side of the Red Coconut property, that you could access the beach without having to go up and over. But to your point, if you're on the east side of the Staro to get to the other side, certainly something we can bring up with the developers and see if that's something they're interested in doing.
Yeah, well, we have a little leverage.
We do, yeah. I know it's been brought up at their meeting that they had last week at Pink Shell. That was kind of brought up, and the initial response was the space it takes to be able to do that, whether it's stairs, an elevator, or the circular thing, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, we've seen in other areas, where it's a ramp versus,
Right.
Which alleviates the need for an elevator, but
It takes up
a lot of
real
space.
estate, yeah.
It takes up a lot of real estate, so it's certainly something we can talk to them about and see if it's important to enough that people find that as a public benefit. How much is it going to be used? I don't know if there's a traffic study or anything that can be done to
No.
really show the amount of traffic that would actually use it, but
Well, maybe if we get to that point, we could come up even with a way to call out a bike crossing area, that has some kind of lighting, whatever, if it's going to cross that street.
yeah, I'm sure one of the conditions, I shouldn't say for sure, but my guess is one of the conditions would be to have some sort of flashing beacon
Yeah.
there to be able to, like Linnell, to be able to allow people to know that people are crossing the street there, because it's going to be probably a heavily crossed area, just like it was before when it was Red Coconut. But
Right.
so we're still in the negotiation terms. I guess it hasn't gone before LPA yet, so we'll see what comes out of that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What other questions you have?
Well, we had this also, we've talked about, which I don't know if Tom wants to give us an update. Maybe we'll go with Tom's update and then I'll ask my questions, because I want to ask about the path. We talked about another thing, like a going north path for electric, like golf carts or whatever, from a certain area to start meandering it to the north end of the island, again, to bring people out of cars and for the south end to be able to get up north. And I know that you guys were having a meeting.
There was a meeting
Yeah.
with the company that's kind of projecting that.
Right.
So there's really no conclusion yet. This still has to go to council and some of the suggestions that they made as well. So we're still working on it. It's a work in progress. When you come into it, that's an extremely complicated issue, trying to dig into people's property or trying to shut down certain spaces or make spaces that are going through neighborhoods, that it's a big process. So the update is that we're still working it out, going through. Staff has made contact with them again, and we're waiting to hear what their answers are on some of that.
Okay,
But the Red Coconut property and the property next to it, based on the comp plan, that there will be a road going through there, because that, it's in the comp plan, it has to be there. So that connection from Denora will be made up to whatever, I can't remember the name of the street, right where the old bank used to be.
Is that Lover's Lane?
Lover's Lane, I think it is.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's getting from there to the north end. How does that work out? Is there easements that could go in?
Right.
There's a lot of discussion, and there's a lot of people that have to be involved to make that happen, but if it's ever gonna happen, in my opinion,
it's now.
now is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a game changer, such a game changer. Is there anything that this group needs to do for that, or no, the town is really working on that?
I think staff has been, I think we understand what the needs are, and I think that we've been having instruction from the town manager,
Okay.
from council on what we're supposed to be digging into, and at this point, it's more exploratory. So, to the mayor's point, we continue to have conversations with them, continue to try to come up with best ideas, best plans, within the scope of what our ability is. And I think the council and town management have done a great job by having these new new people coming in who are building here for us, putting that right in their plan,
Sure.
making sure that's part of the plan. So I think that's a start. So as you know, to keep moving forward, I think that's what we're gonna have to keep doing as these projects come up, kind of work that in, and that's what these guys are good at. So I think they're working hard at that too.
And the nice thing in this case is that, I think it was 2017, all the hard work was already done.
Yeah,
But at the time, everything was developed, and to make it a reality was gonna be very difficult, if not impossible. So the blueprint's there. The hard work's been done, the study's been done, everybody's already, I don't know that the Public Safety Committee needs to reinvent the wheel. I
yeah,
mean, you've seen
Seen
that.
the plan, I
You've seen
love
the
it,
plan.
yeah.
So it's now, how do you execute the vision that they had back in 2017?
Yeah.
And can it be done, or how does it need to be modified to make it work? You know, obviously the goal would be to get it as far north as you possibly can on Estero before it dumps out onto Estero.
right,
Or does it make sense, to your point, shift it to the beach now, cut across there, and you can still get to the north end via Moby Mats or whatever. you want to do.
Exactly.
So, sounds like everybody's on it, it's just a matter of getting.
yeah,
the
they even
execution.
had Moby Mats allowing the golf carts at, you know, at some point, that'd be huge.
I don't see that ever happening.
I don't either, but it would be
I don't know
great.
if FDEP would ever approve that, but.
Yeah, well, all right, Tom, do you have any updates? We'll go with you, because maybe we'll have more questions at that point.
Last time we talked about lighting, so that's also part of the plan. To the mayor's point about the sidewalk stuff, the town manager instructed my people to do a lighting survey up and down Estero, started at the north end of the island to the south end of the island, in particular where we have some lights out. We've taken a whole survey of that. That's been turned over to the power company now for them to figure out why some of these lights are not on. They will also understand that only the town manager has the ability to ask them, or the mayor, so I'm assuming, has the ability to ask them to turn lights off at any time. No one else has that authority. So they're working to the best of their ability to figure out why these lights are not back on, what they have to do to get squared away.
Okay,
They've told us that they're all back on now, so.
But
they
they're
had a
not.
crew. If you find one that's not out, let us know.
oh, okay, they are, okay, you're saying,
Because we noticed a couple weeks ago, there were several that were out for whatever reason,
okay,
and they sent out a team to fix if they were, or turn them on, whatever the reason was they were off.
okay,
But I haven't noticed one out. So if you notice one that's out, just let us know, and they'll send someone to
Okay.
take care of it.
We were-
But they understand the
We
importance.
were applying a lot of pressure to FPL from the Estero Cove Condominium Association, and they turned on that light right in front of the complex where there's a crosswalk.
Yep,
Used to go to the old Ventures.
yep.
And that was I thought that was very helpful, and we were very excited about that, and I thanked them for doing that.
Yeah, the issue, there was several issues. There were some that either burned out or weren't working. And then over the years, if a light was, you gotta remember, these lights weren't all amber before the storm. They were white
mm-hmm,
lights. So before the storm, if they were potentially a cause of a turtle disorientation, they just were shut off. Whoever made that decision to shut them off, we don't know if it was the then town manager or whomever made the decision to just shut them off. Well, that kept a rolling tally of every year those lights would just automatically be shut off again. as opposed to reevaluating
Maybe.
if something changed. So that's why we saw before the storm so many. And then once they were converted after the storm to fix them, they put up the amber fixtures, which didn't give out as much light. They were still continuing to be shut off, and you know, now we're noticing it. We noticed it and they fixed it. So hopefully in the next year we won't have an issue anymore with lighting. They are working on that. So
What is the status of the lighting project? I saw that it's starting.
yeah, so they are putting the underground conduit in. They started down in Estrelita and they're moving their way north. Last I saw was a couple days ago. They were around the Fairview Isles area, but I think they're even much further north of that. So you'll see them. They're a bunch of white trucks. They're all in orange vests. They've got big orange spools of conduit. So if you see them on your road, that's what they're doing, and they are moving very, very quickly to get that underground. And when they leave, you can't even tell that they were there. I mean, other than the dirt and the small spots. So they're digging up certain spots along the way, and then they're underground boring the conduit through. After that, they'll come back. They'll start setting the bases, pulling the wire through. The bases will be set. They won't put the poles and lights in until after the end of turtle season. So in November, you'll start seeing poles go up and lights get hooked up and turned on. Initially, they were going to do it all and then go back, but now it sounds like the plan is after turtle season, they'll start installing the lights and illuminating from the south to the north as they can, based on things that could be put in place. So there are bases, there are poles, they're already sitting at the town hall property. There is a bunch of equipment down at the south water tower. So they're moving. They understand the urgency.
That's awesome.
We're going to do, staff has been talking, I've been talking with staff, and of Old San Carlos, of something that we need to do before season to get that area illuminated. There's money to be able to get that done. So we want to make sure, even if it's a temporary solution. The issue we're having with Old San Carlos is a power issue. I think we're at the point now where we're going to have to rerun all the power down Old San Carlos. We tried fixing it, caused another issue. So there were lights and then there weren't lights, and that's because there were shorts, as you know how that, where you get everything set up and then there's a problem you couldn't see. So I think we're getting to the point where we just need to pull all new wire, because that's our responsibility, not FPL's. And then once there's good power there, then we've got the poles, which are in the lighting plan for FPL to do. We may enhance it a little bit, but the importance is to make sure before season we get some good lighting down there.
Yeah. Pulling wires is quite challenging, but doable.
It is, well, it's professionals that do it every day for a living, so
Right.
and the way that Old San Carlos is set up, some power comes from Bayside Park, some comes from the transformer that sits in Times Square, and they come both directions. So it was a little bit of a challenge figuring out what powered what, where it came from. And then obviously when you've got, high tide and tropical storm Debbie's come through that put everything back underwater, it's got to
Right.
start again. It's
Yeah.
so they're looking at solutions to get that done, but we will have Old San Carlos illuminated one way or another.
Is there a solution for keeping the power, like the transformers, out of the water because that area is low to start with?
Yeah, I don't know that anything will be overhead. I don't know for sure if the power that was ran, when it was even in conduit. I mean, there's some areas I know the conduit was corroded or busted and allowed water in, similar to what you had down at your condo.
Right.
Yeah, so, and you're at the point now where it just makes sense to do it again and do it right and make sure we don't have intrusions like we're getting now.
Right. The equipment they're using now, the cabling, is so much better than what was available when that was originally installed.
Yes.
The trick is getting it through there without nicking it and cutting it and compromising, because it's so good that if it's not compromised, it can be underwater. But
Yeah.
boy,
Well, now they have underwater rated sheathing that goes on, and then they also have the MDX that goes over it, so wire is in conduit already, and if you're running that through conduit, so there's several things you can do.
It's quite technologically advanced, as long as you don't compromise it in the installation process.
Exactly
And that's
right.
really important.
Yeah.
We learned all that.
I bet you did. It's amazing what people are learning after a storm like that. And what you find out when you think you've got everything fixed.
Yeah. You don't really know what you don't know.
No.
Okay. Awesome. That's good news. I'm happy about the light. Tom, anything else you want to give us an update?
Nothing's changed from the last time we met. as far as other than the bike plan, which is being worked on, the lighting, the sidewalks. The traffic is still still what it is, and we're working on that. We're trying to get ahead of it. That's part of what this plan was, meeting with town management is already trying to think about different ways, speaking of course to our elected officials, but also trying to get together with LCSO and FDOT and LEDOT, and everybody's trying to do the best they can, and they're kind of digging into it for best plans. So we know season's coming back, and we want to plan for that to the best of our ability. And with this diversion, it's going to create a little bit more of a hindrance for a little while they correct that and create the circle. But we are trying to get ahead of it now, so just so you know that.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so member reports, anything?
Nope.
Nothing here.
I already asked my questions.
I do have a report. I believe my time in public safety is up in October, and I will not be re-upping. I think it's been 6 years that I've been on the committee, and now we have new faces and new people that are ready to pass the baton to, as they say. So I believe, depending on the date of September's meeting, I may or may not be here, but this may be my last meeting. So.
If that's the case, thank you so very much.
Yes, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Put
We'll
in
miss
so much
you.
time and effort, and we will miss you.
Thank you.
I enjoyed being on the committee, but it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Well, we will miss you. Dan, do you have anything else?
No, I think we covered all of it.
Okay. Public comment? None. Set the next meeting, which would be probably the 17th of September, right? And you're gone,
And I will,
And
I will be back, but I already have a commitment that day.
and I'm actually gone that day.
We can't modify that.
I have to call in. That'd be my only, I can call in that day.
Do you want to table that for now until we can?
Let's
figure
table
out
and
a
we'll
better
find some, yeah, and we'll work
Let
all
us
over
know.
the town
Just
and
let
we'll
us-
send
yeah,
some emails.
good. Yeah, just let us know if we get a different date,
Okay.
25th.
the 25th.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It depends on
It all
location.
depends on
Okay,
everybody else.
I'll email the town and see what we can do.
Yeah, we gotta look at the calendar and see. what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah,
Okay.
September is a pretty busy month.
yeah,
I know, it's
there's
kinda
there's
crazy.
budget meetings.
Budget and normal meetings, so.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we'll go back, and then we'll be back to the, like the third Tuesday would be October 15th. That'll be that meeting. So that one, we're kind of back on track. That is it. All right.
Thank you.
Calling the meeting to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that
All
motion.
right, meeting adjourned.
All right,
That is it.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
bye, thank you. Thanks for calling.